All right, so we're less than 48 hours away, depending on when you're listening to this, or it might be maybe a little bit closer to 24 hours. Maybe you're listening to this right before the game. But we have three games we are guaranteed at the Copa America, and let's going to go to that really quickly. What are my three things? So it's very simple. Three things I'm looking forward to at the Copa America for Canada in terms of what are my three things I'm going to be looking for. I kind of put one out on X a little bit earlier on Tuesday. And to me, it's the conversation about the formation. I think we're all working under the assumption that Jesse Marsh is going to stick with the same 4-2-2-2 or that 4-4-2 setup. And if that's the case, there's no problem. So you're looking at Davies at left back, Bombito Cornelius as your center backs, Alistair Johnson as your right back, midfield duo of Ishmael Kone and Stefan Eustachio. Then you have the midfield, left and right midfielders of Liam Miller and Tejan Buchanan, and then the striker pairing of Jonathan David and Kyle Larin. Maxim Crepon goal, if I didn't say it earlier. So I think we're working with that lineup here. Again, like I said earlier, if you listen to any of my other content, not taking much out of the France games or the Dutch games. It's two games. I'm going to build a sample size and then go from there. So I'm going to try to sound as measured as possible. But my first position I'm looking at, I had this conversation with one of my co-hosts, Nelson. He brought up this point about Tejan Buchanan, and I want to go and start there. So that first area I'm going to be watching is going to be that right attacking midfield spot. The two centrals are done, but that right attacking midfield spot. Now, Nelson brought up this point. I think it's a good point to have. If you're going to be playing a system where you're pressing or a system where you have to sit back and defend, there's a reality that in possession, especially if you're defending against higher competition, they're going to be playing against Argentina. I mean, they will be defending for most of the time. Can you make the most out of limited touches? Now, this is a criticism I have of, say, Kyle Larin, where he needs maybe 3 to 4 good chances, quality chances to maybe put away one. I think Kyle has more misses. I mean, is he a better finisher than, say, like a Cavallini? I'd agree. Cavallini's misses were comical sometimes because it was just like, how are you missing this? And again, I'm just a guy on YouTube commenting on this, but can you be efficient with limited touches and limited opportunities? And that's a spot where I'm going to look at a player like Tejan Buchanan. There's a reality with this Canada men's national team group that their European players, not many are in form. You have Theo Bears wasn't in form any of the season. Davies ended the season well. Liam Miller had a good year. Outside of that, Kone had a solid year as well. Outside of that group of players, Jonathan David ended the year as well. Outside of that group of players, not everyone is playing well. You're going to have to rely on a glut of MLS players to really carry their form. And you're playing one of the top teams, not the top team in the world. Can they do the most with limited touches? If the ball goes down to the right, can we have a better chance than not that Tejan can create an opportunity, whether that is moving the ball into the box or trying to find opportunities where they can, cross the ball in or cut in and create some offense and opportunities in some 1v1 situations. Nelson, my friend, made the comment saying, hey, Tejan sometimes feels like a player who has always been at top clubs, which is an interesting way of looking at it. I don't think he has, but the commentary that he made was he plays like a player who the pass has to be perfect, everything is there, but you need to understand that when you're playing top teams, that's not always going to be that. So you have to push a little bit better, and your body language has to be a little bit better. And that's the thing with Tejan. I find that sometimes with this MNT side, they are a little bit better with the edge, but sometimes the edge isn't always the best way to play, right? A player like Richie Larea is always going to be on that edge, and there's no problem with that. Stay within the limits, but you need to be able to create. And I think with Tejan, he's going to get few opportunities, primarily because I find most people will look at the left side and say the best way that we can tire out an Alphonso Davies and not have him create offensively is to attack. Liam Miller and Alphonso will probably be defending a lot, especially against Argentina. So if the ball gets over to the right side, can Tejan help enough defensively? But furthermore, if the ball gets played out to him, can he create quality out of limited touches? That's very important to me because the right attacking midfield or the right winger position, is low-key a concern for me. Um, we don't have the depth per se there. I know the team has a little bit more versatility. You can go maybe put a Jonathan Osorio out there as the first sub on. Maybe that's an Ali Ahmed spot. Maybe you play Schaffelberg on the right hand side. Somehow a lot of the Canadians are all left sided, right? Right. Schaffelberg is more of a left sided player. Liam Miller, left sided player. Davies, left sided player. Richie Laray can go both sides, but I wonder, can they get quality out of the right attacking midfield position? Because if they can do that, you're giving your nines the opportunity to play. Which comes to the second thing I'm watching. Kyle Larin is going to be front and center for me. He was the outlier watching in the France and the Netherlands matchup. Mainly that he wasn't asked to press in. And I feel that that's going to be problematic because you may need to defend with all 11 players, or 9 players in that case, and then leave the 10 up there. But the 10th player, that is. But I don't know if Larin fits this. And that's something that we've all kind of been noticing. We've seen in different conversations, different mediums. Kyle Larin is a player who, A, isn't necessarily the most efficient, but B, in terms of a high-pressing, high-energy system, I don't know, to the extent that Marsh wants to play, I don't know if Larin has the engagement to do it. And I think that's a bit of a concern, a question for me. Because if he can be engaged there, I think it gives you a little bit more. Larin is the type of player like we saw in World Cup qualifiers, right? Whether it was the first game away in the U.S. or both U.S. games. He found himself in great positions where he was able to create, and there he was efficient and capitalizing on those opportunities. Against Argentina, he's not going to get 3 to 4 chances. And against France, we saw that, and he wasn't able to finish. Jonathan David hasn't scored for Canada in a minute, which is an interesting thought bubble. Your top 2 nines aren't in form for the country, and the rest of your nines are in form for their clubs. I wonder what the leash on Kyle Larin will be if they go to maybe a Theo Bear or maybe a Tenio Luasi as an option. I think not having Hoylet hurts here because you can put him up there or put him out wide. But yes, the leash on Kyle Larin is the second thing I'm watching. The third thing I'm curious to see is I'm looking at the midfield battle. I know right now it feels as if Marsh wants to play in that 4-2-2-2 or that 4-4-2. Can any of the midfielders do enough to warrant them dropping a striker for an additional midfielder? And right now, I'm looking at Choignard or Ali Ahmed. Both give you a bit of versatility. Choignard, I think I like more in the middle. If you're going to play like a 4-3-3 with dual 8s, and then giving you those 2 attacking and progressing players and leaving, say, an Eustachio back there. Or if you can develop a 6, then you move Eustachio and Kone up and you play that 4-3-3 in that style. But I wonder if, based off of how they can play, if Ali Ahmed, coming off injury, or Mathieu Choignard can play well enough to warrant dropping a 9 and going a 3-man midfield and then like making it look either a 4-2-3-1, a 4-3-3 where it's a 1-2, or a 4-3-3 flat. I am very curious to see if those 3 things happen. That's what I'll be watching for. One of my expectations, honestly, we have 3 quality games. I want us to get a win. Give me at least a win. I don't have much in terms of expectations for the Argentina matchup. I think Argentina has a lot of quality, and I'm going to see how we are defensively. There's a reality if you look at the Netherlands and the Dutch. The Netherlands, I said the Netherlands and the Dutch. The Netherlands and the France game, where we say we had great saves and great goal line clearances, but there are stretches in that game where we were just being run ragged. And that's going to happen against top teams. What I would like to see, though, is us win a game. I'm not prepared emotionally to even suggest that if Canada beats Argentina, what that means, because I don't give myself the opportunity to actually sit back and enjoy. But I would love to see them maybe get a win. That's my goal. Get a win somewhere in those first 3 games. Maybe a draw as well. If you're able to do that, take your chances with goal difference. Can they do it? It's possible. It's also very possible that this team can get grouped. So I think it's something very important to kind of keep an eye on and go from there. But I think for Canada, that's the three things I'll be watching. That right attacking midfield, how does Tejan look? Also, curiously, who's the first player off the bench for that position? Is it going to be a Jonathan Osorio or will it be someone else? Second spot would be the Nines. Kyle Larin has to be efficient, has to be able to score. Because if not, it comes to three. Is there a player that can work their way into the starting 11? Primarily, can one of the midfielders, either Ahmed or Schwanyel, play well enough to warrant dropping one of the Nines so that you can have an energy of pressing? And it still can go in your pairing, so, but then maybe instead of a Laren or just David and Laren, you maybe go Ugbo a David. And then in the middle, you go. I said Ugbo. Kone and David. My apologies, guys. Ugbo's not there. Maybe in the middle, you go Kone and David. And then as your front two pressing. And then your next two, you have Schwanyel and Eustakio. And then you have Liam Miller and Tejan Buchanan. And then you have your back four and your goalkeeper. That's what I have here, guys. You let me know, what are you looking for in Can MNT in terms of their games at Copa America? What's your best case scenario, your worst case scenario? I think their best case scenario is they finish second in the group and then they move out. Worst case scenario, they lose all three games, they get grouped. It's very simple. I don't think they win first, but I think best case scenario, maybe they're able to scrape 2 wins by in KG matchups. But I think more than likely my goals for them are get a win, just get a win, and then from there, if they can manage a draw, hopefully that means they have the opportunity to maybe with points and goal difference make it through. But guys, you let me know what you think. A little bit longer of a video here, but we'll wrap it up here. Actually, it's not really that long. Anyways, we out.